what happens for many people in complex trauma is they weren't taught tools that are important tools for learning to meet your needs, learning to live in this life. And so part of reparenting is teaching yourself tools you didn't receive as a child. So emotional regulation, learning how to regulate your emotions. If you didn't get taught that as a child, now you have to teach yourself. You have to reparent yourself. Or self-care. If you weren't taught how to care for your needs, then you have to teach yourself the tools to do that. The second thing is you have to begin to treat yourself in healthy ways if you weren't treated in certain areas in healthy ways as a child. So if you were criticized a lot, you now learn to validate yourself, to treat yourself with compassion, with validation. So you're beginning to change your story about how you are going to treat yourself, and that's reparenting. So for today, we're going to look at one of the foundational blocks that every person needs in their life if they're going to become a healthy person. And we talked about it in the very first talk on the stages of development. And that is, a child needs trust. They have to be able to trust people in order to develop. So we talked about the need for them to attach, to be authentic, and to trust. 3 key foundational stones for building a healthy life. But what I want to focus on as well is, in order for a child to be able to trust, they need to have parents who are committed and consistent. If they're not committed and consistent with the child, then that child is not going to learn trust. So you need 2. Trust and commitment. The 2 go together. So as I talk about this today, I'm very aware that you're probably going to listen to me on 3 levels. If you are a parent, you're going to think about your children learning trust and therefore your need to be committed and consistent. If you're in an intimate relationship, you're going to learn about the need for trusting each other, but that means being consistent in your relationship and committed to each other. And if you're in recovery, you're going to learn that reparenting means that wounded part of you stopped trusting a long time ago. And it needs to be able to trust again. But to be able to trust again, the starting point is you have to be committed to yourself. You have to be committed to that wounded child inside of you. You have to be committed to meeting your needs if you're going to learn to trust. So the starting point of learning to trust again for people in recovery is being committed to meet your own needs. Somebody has said this: when you make a commitment, you build hope. When you keep that commitment, you build trust. And that's just a very wonderful way to say it. Now, what I have realized over the years is that for many people who grow up in complex trauma, commitment to them means something very different than somebody else who grew up in complex trauma. And it really depends on their experience. And so they don't necessarily have a true understanding or picture of commitment and trust. It's very much shaped by their complex trauma experience. So just for an example, you might have grown up in a family where your physical needs weren't met very well, or your emotional needs. So for you, commitment means a parent who meets your needs. And that's how you define commitment. And it's very limited in your understanding to just the meeting of needs. Or you grew up in a place where you didn't feel safe. And so for you, commitment means a parent who keeps me safe. Or your parents just weren't attuned to your needs at all. They didn't pay attention to you. Commitment to you might be defined just as somebody attuned to meeting my needs. So it's got part of the understanding of commitment, but not the full picture. So just some other ones that people have is they grew up where parents didn't do anything fun with them. And so for them, commitment is you do fun things together. Or parents who broke their promises. So commitment is you keep your promises. Or parents who didn't set good boundaries or enforce those boundaries. Or parents who didn't stick together through tough times. And so for you, commitment is sticking together no matter what. Or you had parents that cheated on each other. So the emphasis for you is commitment is you're faithful sexually to your partner. Parents who didn't fulfill their responsibilities, or parents who didn't make sacrifices. And so for you, commitment is all about sacrifices and responsibility. So all of that just to say, be aware as you think about this topic of your early definitions of what commitment means. Now, having said that, I want to then go to, okay, what does commitment mean? What is a full picture that will help us understand commitment? Because you can't build trust unless there's somebody in your life who's committed to you. So commitment, I want you to understand, is the essential part of every healthy, intimate relationship. If you find an intimate relationship where both people are growing together, are deeply satisfied with that relationship, you will find that there's a deep commitment to each other. So if you don't have that deep commitment, your relationship never grows to beyond a certain point. And that is so important to understand. So commitment is continuing to do the right thing even when you don't feel like it. It's continuing to follow the same priorities, principles, course of action at all times, regardless of the circumstances. Now, in complex trauma, it's very important to understand that in light of the limbic brain versus the cortex brain. So commitment will never get carried out if you live only in your limbic brain, because that's your child brain. And what does the child brain say? I will do something if I feel like it. But if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. Well, that's not going to carry out a commitment if you only do it when you feel like it. And so to maintain commitment, you have to go to your cortex that says, I'm going to do this on days I feel like it, but also on days I don't feel like it. So what is involved? It's hanging in there when life gets hard and overwhelming. It's continuing to do the right thing day after day, even though you're not seeing immediate results. It's like the farmer who plants the seed, waters it, weeds it, but is not seeing results yet. There's a waiting time, but you're still doing the right stuff. But then with commitment, there's an element of exclusivity, that you are faithful sexually and emotionally. Now, what that means, if I'm going to have a healthy relationship with my wife, I have to be committed to her. But if I'm committed to her, then that means I can't have that type of relationship with any other women in the world. So it excludes other people. If I'm going to have a healthy relationship with my children, I got to be committed to them. And that means I can't be using all of my time doing other things and having tons of other relationships with other people, because that would take away from my commitment to my children. So just having a committed relationship means I have to exclude relationships with others, and it means I can't say yes to all kinds of activities. I have to start saying no to a whole bunch of activity, because that will prevent me from carrying out my commitment to my children. And I might be saying no to very worthwhile activities, but I have to in order to maintain that commitment. The next thing that happens in a committed relationship is It's the understanding that your needs are just as important as mine, so that we are going to work together to make sure both of our needs are being met. So I'm going to meet some of my own needs, but I'm going to need your help with others. You're going to meet most of your needs, but you're going to need my help with others. So that then means that at times we're going to have to make sacrifices. At times we're going to have to give when we're not feeling we're getting anything back right away. So sacrifice becomes part of this. But then it also means I'm not going to abandon you. Now this is really important for people from complex trauma, because what happens in complex trauma when you don't feel somebody's there for you to help you through a difficult situation is you feel abandoned. But then what happens is you believe that you must be the reason they abandon you. You must have many flaws. You're not worth it. So you then abandon yourself. You don't even like yourself. And so what happens now in being committed to yourself is you're saying to the wounded part of you, I won't abandon you again. I am committed to working through this stuff with you. The next thing that's part of commitment is open, honest communication and no secrets. We're going to share and talk honestly, but then it means accepting the person that you're in the relationship with, where they're at, their personality. You accept them as they are, and you form an attachment with them, a secure attachment. That means you're a safe person. That means you're attuned to how they're doing. You're aware of their emotions. That means that you care about their pain just as much as you care about your own pain. That means you work hard to get to understand them so that you get them, so that you get to know them intimately. Their deepest dreams, passions, fears, wounds. You want to understand them. That's part of commitment. It also involves you desire what is best for them. And it means you are all in. Many people from complex trauma, when they go into a relationship, they go in with always needing an escape hatch. If this gets a little bit tough, I'm out of here. With commitment is I've got to know you and I'm prepared to commit to you, which means I'm all in. I am going to give myself to this. I'm jumping in with both feet. And what that means is not only do I choose you today, I'm going to choose you again tomorrow. And I'm going to choose you the next day. I'm going to choose you over and over and over again. More than that, commitment means we're going to have problems, but we're going to work them out. We're going to resolve them. And to do that, I have to be willing to own my part. You have to be willing to own your part. We both have to be willing to change. That's the only place where commitment will work to produce healthy people. As we have problems, commitment means we're committed to respect each other even in the problems. I am not going to disrespect you. Further, I am going to be willing to go to being vulnerable as we work through problems. And that means I'm going to expose weaknesses to you. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to share who I really am with you. And then when it comes to making decisions, I am going to do my thinking, not just so that the decision benefits me, but so that it benefits both of us. So I'm going to think for two when I am thinking about a decision. And I want it to benefit you just as much as it benefits me. I am going to show up on days that I am tired, hurt, angry, stressed out, distracted. I'm still choosing to be present and to love, even on those difficult days. Now think of, where did commitment begin? It began by thinking this person has value. This person means a lot to me. And so what I am going to do moving forward is continue to see you and treat you as somebody as having great value to me. That therefore means that yes, I will acknowledge weaknesses that you have, but I am not going to focus on them with a desire to tear you down. Because if I focus only on the negatives in you, you will lose value in my mind, which will cause me to have trouble maintaining my commitment. So to keep my commitment growing, I have to continue to choose to treat you with respect, to see you as having great value to me. And then for people with complex trauma, commitment means fighting through fears that are going to be triggered as the relationship deepens. As the relationship deepens, there's going to be a fear of, oh, they're getting to know me better, or are they going to abandon me? And so your natural instinct at that time will be, let's just sabotage this relationship. But commitment says, no, I am going to press through that fear, and I am going to not sabotage this relationship. I am going to continue to be present and to be authentic and work through my fears. That is tough. So those are 26 characteristics of commitment. Somebody said this: nothing is sexier than someone who can face temptations and have the level of maturity to say, this isn't worth losing what I have. So commitment is multifaceted. Now let's go to trust. So you need commitment to build trust, but once trust is there, it can easily be broken. And what is surprising to many people is that trust is often slowly chipped away at until it's finally gone. And the things that slowly can chip away at trust are often small little things that even seem insignificant. So let me just give you some of the things that can slowly chip away at trust in a relationship. If you are a person who repeatedly says that you're going to be there at a certain time and you never show up on time, that very slowly can erode trust. Or if you are in circumstances and you don't make your partner a priority, you put other things ahead of them, that can begin to erode trust. If you're only interested in your partner when you want something from your partner, like sex or something else, that will erode trust. If you're not there for your partner when they're hurting or when they're sick, that will erode trust. If you don't keep your promises, if you don't contribute to the well-being of your family, you're just off in your own little world and the family can do what it wants, that begins to erode trust. Or another way to say that is if your approach to your family or relationships is me rather than we, that will erode trust. So if you are quite content that your partner take care of 75% of the responsibilities of the family, and you just like to spend time with your friends, doing your hobbies, and you just do a little bit with the family, that's going to erode trust big time. If you don't keep secrets, or if you keep secrets from your partner, or you blab what your partner shares with you that you should have kept secret, both of those will erode trust. If you tell a lie, if you never apologize, never own your part, that begins to erode trust. If you disrespect your partner in public or in private and do things that are humiliating to them and put them down, that begins to erode trust. If you are emotionally unfaithful by getting emotionally involved with somebody else or physically involved, of course that erodes trust. or if you're physically violent, or you don't regulate your emotions, that can begin to erode trust. Or if you make bad decisions with money, that can erode trust. If you are just a lazy person, or you're always procrastinating on things, that can erode trust. If you fall into addiction, that will erode trust. If you are a hypocrite, you have a great way of talking about what you're going to do or what should be done, you just don't ever do it, that erodes trust. If you're inconsistent in enforcing boundaries, that will erode trust. If you're a people pleaser and you're not good at saying no to others, that will erode trust with those closest to you. That's a lot of different things that erode trust. And you can see then that any unhealthy behavior has the potential of chipping away at trust. So trust takes a lot to build, but it can be easily destroyed through unhealthy behaviors. Now I want to take this in a little different direction. So remember that I said you're committed to somebody initially because they have value to you. What I want you to think about is, especially for people from complex trauma, every day in a relationship, you are asking, does the person's words, actions communicate that I still have value? That is the ongoing question in your mind. So let me just break that down. That can mean every day you're looking at how they treat you, what they say to you, how they use their time, how they interact with others, what they do when you're in a group together, in a social setting, how they then treat you, how they interact with others, and you're going to say, do they still cherish me? Or, how important am I to you? I'm more important to you than your parents are. Am I more important to you than your friends are, or your job, or your personal hobbies? Where do I fit in your top priorities? Constantly being evaluated. Do I come first in your life? And that might be for some, do I come first next to your higher power? Do you just take me for granted? Have you stopped really appreciating me and you're just assuming I'm going to be there for you? Are you looking around, checking to see if there might be somebody better than I am in your life? Will you keep caring for me even when you're struggling or when you're hurting or when you're sick? Or will you keep caring for me even when I'm struggling, when I'm hurting? How about when I start losing my beauty? Will you still value me then? Will you care for me when you are frustrated with me? Will you still value me? Are you committed to care for me just out of a sense of duty that this is your obligation, but really you see me as a bit of a burden? Or do you still care for me because you delight in me? All of those are the ongoing questions when there's a committed relationship. How committed is it is really what it's boiling down to. And what that therefore means is, how much do you value me? So let me then take that further. What then do you do when trust has been broken? So let me make that really practical. And let's look at this in sense of reparenting yourself today. So there's a part of you that you abandoned. There's a part of you that where trust was broken. You were not committed to yourself, to care for yourself, to care for the wounded part of yourself. How do you rebuild that trust today? Number one, have a conversation with little you. Let little you, the abandoned part of you, talk about what it was like to be abandoned by parents, what it was like to be abandoned by you. Let them share their feelings without you trying to blame anybody or shutting them down. Listen to them talk about what it felt like to be abandoned, and then to have nobody they could trust. But then make a commitment to them. Make a commitment to yourself today to meet your 12 needs. That you won't abandon that child again. And that will be their deepest fear. So make that commitment. And make sure you're making it in your cortex, not just out of your limbic brain. But that then means figuring out how to maintain internal boundaries. So if you're going to meet your 12 needs consistently, you have to make a commitment to get a certain amount of sleep, to eat a certain way, to get exercise, to take care of yourself emotionally, to be mindful of how you're doing. So you set boundaries. I'm going to get up at this time. I'm going to have a time to meditate, to do an inventory of how I'm doing. I'm going to do different physical type of exercises. I'm making a commitment. How am I going to maintain that commitment? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's what that commitment needs to look like, is the maintaining of those internal boundaries. And that's what the little wounded you is waiting to see. Are you going to keep that commitment to care for me, to meet my needs? And then learn to cherish and love yourself in a healthy way. And learn to cherish. Remember, little you often will contain the parts of you that you hated when you were little. You hated that you were so sensitive, that you were so emotional, that you got so angry. You wanted to shove that part of you into a closet or cut it off somehow. That's the part of you that now you need to accept and you need to be able to cherish. So what I want to do is give you ways to cherish yourself or your children or your partner. Practical things that you can do that will keep the value part alive. So remember, to maintain a commitment, it started with I value you. But to keep that commitment going strong, I have to do things that strengthen my sense of valuing you. I have to do things that help me cherish you on an ongoing basis. And so these are practical things you can do to strengthen the cherish value part, which will then strengthen the commitment. So I'll go through these quickly. Create a ritual time together, a date night. You can date yourself. You can go for a date night with each of your children, with your partner. It's a planned time just to enjoy them, just to do things together. Very important to do. Tell them regularly the positive qualities that they have. Identify them. Don't just say generically, you're a wonderful person. Specify those positive qualities. Have fun with them. Don't just make the time with them always serious. You need serious times of sharing, but you need to enjoy times together. Comfort them when they're hurting. Check in with them several times a day, just to let them know you're thinking of them, just to ask them how they're doing. Write them little notes. Leave them in their lunches. Leave them on their pillow. Things that say, I love you, I appreciate you. And if they are wanting or needing your attention, stop what you're doing and give them your full attention. Buy them something that is meaningful to them, that communicates that they're special to you. Ask them specific questions about their life. Do a project together that they would enjoy doing. Do service activities together. So you're working together as a team and helping others. Set boundaries with other people who are wanting more and more of your time, who are needy or who are pushy. But set boundaries to say, no, I'm not going to let you have more of my time, because that would violate the time I need to carry out my commitment to this relationship. Do something with them that they enjoy, but might not be enjoyable to you. So if it's with one of your children, they might want to have a tea party, and that would bore you to death. But do it because it means so much to them. Support them in their interests. So if they want to take up a musical instrument, support them in that. If they want to take a course so they can keep learning and growing, support them in those kind of things. Open up to them about your feelings. Allow some vulnerability, age appropriate, but begin to do that. Let them be themselves. And if you have a child or partner who's a little bit eccentric, odd duck, quirky, come to accept that. Don't try to shut them up because it embarrasses you. Have their back when somebody attacks them. Stand up for them. If they're having a really bad day and they just can't do some of the things they need to do, step in and help. Always treat them with respect, even when they're having a bad day and not acting the best. Don't shame them. Don't disrespect them. Work hard to resolve any problems that have come up in the relationship. Communicate a lot. And so for some of us, that means more than just how's your day and here's what I did today. It means filling up space and time sometimes with just more superficial communication, just so that communication is happening. Be in their corner if they have times when they doubt themselves. Be there to encourage them, to validate their positive qualities. So, there's a whole lot that is part of building trust. There has to be commitment. But to be commitment, you have to validate. You have to cherish. You have to value them and nurture that on an ongoing basis. I hope that just helps you in your relationships, but it helps you reparent yourself so that you can begin to live out that commitment to yourself that is so important in getting healthy again.